The Timeshift.
It's news that I never thought I'd end up saying, but Russell T Davies is back as showrunner for Doctor Who. What do you think about this news, dear listener? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Let me know in the comment section down below and I'll get back to you shortly, either directly in the comments themselves or towards the end of a future video. Whilst you're there, be sure to like, favourite, subscribe, click the bell and do all the YouTube stuff that YouTube wants you to do, because YouTube is an increasingly scary place for small content creators. Support your local small content creator today, it will do them a power of good. I will be doing more YouTube Doctor Who videos in the not too distant future once the new season kicks up, but between then and now, on to the video. This video is going to be incredibly off the cuff, dear listener. I was not planning on doing a video today at all, mostly due to the fact I wasn't expecting news like this to break. There I was, minding my own business, trying to find out what the weather was going to be, going onto the BBC News website, and then there it was, the headline there. Doctor Who, Russell T Davies returns as showrunner. And I have been just beyond words since then. Now, for those of you who have come to this channel from my reviews of My Hero Academia and the related videos to that, you may be wondering right now, okay, what's the significance of this? Why is this important? So to explain it as best as I possibly can do, dear listener, the truth of the matter is that when it comes to Doctor Who, arguably the single most important role on that programme is that of the showrunner. The showrunner's job is to effectively lead the creative side of the programme, to be the person who decides the creative direction of the stories and the storylines, decide what stories make up the season, the overall tone that the season and the show itself is going to have. It is a role that ultimately decides what Doctor Who is going to feel like for the next 5 to 10 years. And Russell T Davies was the showrunner when the programme came back in the year 2005. He is arguably the man that is responsible for reviving Doctor Who in the first place. The one that is responsible for Doctor Who becoming the big thing that it became over the past 15 years or so. Without him, Doctor Who might never have been a success at all. I understand there was a lot of skepticism that it would ever become anything more than it had already been before, but here it is today, and regardless of what you may think about the past couple seasons, it certainly is more of a landmark television programme than it has been in a very, very long time, if not ever. We have to address the elephant in the room here, people. Doctor Who was never really quite as big as it has been since it came back in the year 2005. It was always seen as being this kind of niche, nerdy, weird, low-budget thing, which died a rather ignominious death in 1989. Whilst I do understand that there are some people who quite enjoyed this Sylvester McCoy run and are quite happy with the final few episodes, there's no denying that by the end of it, it was looking more and more like a fan film than it actually was an official BBC production. It's just real. I can't even begin to describe just how bad the show looked towards the end of it, but that's a video for another time. Doctor Who then, from that point on, went into what has been described as the wilderness years, where the BBC didn't really know what they wanted to do with the show, what direction they wanted to do to bring it back, and in the end it didn't come back to 2005. There was a lot of skepticism as to whether or not it would actually become much of a muchness, and then here we are 15 years later, and after a very successful run the first time around, Russell T Davies is back! It really just feels so bizarre to say that. Like, I always had this feeling, this gut feeling that Russell T Davies would be back, but only ever maybe for an anniversary episode, or maybe at most a two-parter, just something like that. Never a full return of the showrunner. This is the guy that defined Doctor Who for a generation. It is with him that the show has been able to grow and evolve to the state that it is today. Alright, granted, it's maybe not quite as big as it used to be, and it's gone through a rather difficult patch as of late, but we wouldn't be able to get into this difficult patch at all had he not set the groundwork for it. This is an undeniably massive part within the history of this programme. This is a showrunner and a writer who, again, he's responsible for Doctor Who becoming the massive television event that it was. When he was showrunner, the programme would frequently get episodes with viewing figures in the tens of millions. And that was even before David Tennant came along, and then it went crazy. Because of Russell T Davies, and by extension David Tennant, Doctor Who became the big international phenomenon that it was. And now he's back, and now the pressure of the world must be weighing on his shoulders. I will be honest with you and put my hands up for anyone who hasn't been following my Doctor Who content all that much. I am not a massive fan of Russell T Davies' era as showrunner for Doctor Who. I know that for some people that is sacrilege, but for me, there's just certain elements of it that rub me the wrong way, certain creative choices which I just frankly don't like. I'm not a fan of how easily it turns into melodrama. I really don't like how so many of the episodes just boil down to David Tennant running while pointing at stuff with the dun 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 music playing in the background, and all the stuff of David Tennant standing in the rain crying. I'm just beyond that stuff. I really didn't like it at the time, and at the moment I've not been able to go back to watch those episodes because it just doesn't feel like it will land all that well to me. I've got better things to do with my time than to, just suck it in the sea with past episodes of Doctor Who, which can be very hit and miss at the best of times, let alone that whole stuff when it's something you're probably not going to like. But I understand that this is massive news, and I won't lie, this is news which has me incredibly excited as to what the future of this program has for it. If I am to possibly rain on people's parades a little bit here, there is a part of me that is worried what this means for the future, because it feels a little bit too good to be true. And I don't mean this from the perspective of, oh, Russell T Davies has had it, he's not as good as a writer as he used to be, or he's gone downhill, or anything like that. I just mean it in the sense of that it feels a little bit too poetic for my liking. Like, it feels like, oh, Russell T Davies is the man who brought Doctor Who back, but he's also going to be the one that's going to finish it. He's just going to bookend it. He's going to be the guy that's going to give it its last hurrah before it's just put out to pasture by the BBC for a while before they bring it back in the 2040s or something like that. Like, it just feels a little bit too good to be true for my liking, which is making me a little bit sceptical for it. But at the very least, this means that the future of Doctor Who is secured, at least from a pure contractual point of view. The contracts for showrunners for programs like Doctor Who seem to be done on a 5-year basis, or 5 to 7 years depending on how things are going, and he's set to take over in 2023, which will bring it up for the 60th anniversary for the show, Big Wham Woo, whatever. Well, that means that he's going to be in charge of the program until at least maybe, 2027, 2028? Which kind of secures the future of the show for quite some time. I understand that, I'm going to be blunt, had it been any other showrunner, irregardless of quality, I think that Doctor Who would be in a far more precarious pace than it is. Even if that hypothetical showrunner would turn out to be the best of the best, the greatest writer that the show has ever had, there'd still be this feeling of, well, we kind of need to bring it up to gear now, because if we ain't getting big viewing figures, this show is going to be quietly put out, taken around the back and shot like old Yeller. And there's been this feeling over the past few years that we were getting towards the end of Doctor Who. I know for many people that has felt pretty much purely and simply down to the way things have gone with Chris Chibnall, but I've had that feeling since like midway through the Peter Capaldi, Stephen Moffat era. Midway through that, it felt like, oh god, we've only got maybe a couple of years left of this and then that's done. But, for now at least, it does feel as though we're in a lot more of a secure position, because I have faith that Russell T Davies isn't going to make a balls up of this, because it's clear that he genuinely does love this program. Like, about a year or so ago, he did a television show in the UK called It's a Sin, which is a period piece set in the 1980s about gay culture and about the rise of AIDS and such. And during that, I can remember hearing that one of the characters in the program gets a gig as an extra in an episode of Doctor Who, so Russell T Davies effectively wrote a mini episode of classic Doctor Who so that we'd just have this character in the background going, oh no, Daleks, or something like that. So it's clear that he still has an affection for the program, and this isn't done out of any kind of sense of cynicism. He really does like Doctor Who, which is always something that's welcome to see. And with Russell T Davies, given his track record of the program, you can certainly say that it's not just fanboyish incitement to it. He's got the skills to pay the bills. Of all the programs that he could have gone to, he's gone back to Doctor Who. Granted, probably with the BBC putting a big bag of money in front of him, but you know, if you got it, you might as well use it. I am interested to see where he ends up taking this, though. Is this going to be like the Russell T Davies era Mark II, you know, effectively as it was 10 or so years ago, or is this going to be a wholly new thing? Is it going to have a new feel of it? Is it going to be familiar yet new? Or is it going to be something entirely different? I really don't know. I know that for a lot of people, this is going to be massive news. I know that there's a lot of people who love Russell T Davies' era beyond nostalgia. Let's just get it out there. I know some people are getting bitchy about this, but I understand there's some people that love the Russell T Davies era, and it's not because they grew up with it. It's because they genuinely love the stories for it. And once again, I'll put my hands up and say, it ain't for me most of the time. I can see why people are really enthusiastic about this, but you know, he's got the skills, he can pay the bills, and he's coming back to it. And I think that is something that we should be glad of. I will just say here and now, as just to put my 10 cents on the table, that yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of how Chris Chibnall has done things recently. I do feel there's a lot more good within his time as showrunner than a lot of people give it credit for, and I think that given the benefit of hindsight and time, people will be a lot kinder to it than I feel that maybe they are at the moment. But I don't think that we should see this as being some kind of win for the fan base. I know that some people want to position it as that. They want to see it as a win for one reason or another, and I'm sure that you can guess as to what reasons they're going to be. They're quite happy to do that, and you know what, all the power to them. If you want to see this as being a win for you, great. But for me, at the end of the day, just want to see this show continue to thrive and to grow. And if to grow it needs to go back and bring back a showrunner, then sure, let's do it. So long as they've got the ideas behind them, I'm all for it. I suppose this does mean that certain rumours that the lead actor from It's a Sin might be the next Doctor, but you know what, we'll soon find out in the due course of time. But what do you think, dear listener? What do you think about the news that Russell T Davies is returning as showrunner? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you think it should have been someone else? Were you someone that had your money bet on a different showrunner entirely? Because, you know, there's certain channels that have been dead set that it was going to be someone in particular. Some channels, in fact, that were saying up until yesterday that it was all but confirmed it was someone else. They ain't around now. No, the channels are still around, but it's not that person they thought it was going to be. But, you know what? Do you think it should have been someone else? Are you happy it's Russell T Davies? Let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll get back to you shortly, either directly in the comments themselves or towards the end of a future Doctor Who related video. I've got nothing else to say right now. I'm going to try and edit this together as best I can do, bearing in mind my template for doing the time shift is really kind of crap at the moment, but you know what, we'll see what we can do. Thank you all for listening, and goodbye. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, favourite, subscribe, click the bell, and do all the YouTubey stuff that YouTube wants you to do. Go on, it'll do me a power of good. Until next time, my friends, goodbye.